Should postcode be a protected characteristic? I'm Rachel, I'm a public and social policy consultant and proud northerner, and I'm on a mission to get what I know to be what you know. In Britain, where you live determines how long you'll live, the kind of employment prospects you'll have, the life chances for your children, their education, and the kind of public services that you receive. And commonly, when we talk about equality, we talk about things like gender, race, age, but never about geography. Yet your postcode determines public funding, education, social care, transportation services, and even how much tax you pay for the same services. If you live in Blackpool, you're likely to die 10 years earlier than someone who lives in Surrey. If you live in a poorer area, your council generally has to pay more to deliver the same services and gets less money to do it. And because we tax homes instead of land, poorer areas get poorer and wealthier areas get wealthier. So where do protected characteristics come from? Well, in the UK, in the Equality Act 2010, there's a list of them, and they cover things like age, gender, race, religion, marital status. There are a few others as well, like gender reassignment. These characteristics were chosen for specific reasons. They weren't random. So it looks at things like historic and systemic injustice and inequalities. These traits have consistently shaped the lives of the people that share these traits. There's also documented discrimination. So there's legal and social evidence of persistent harm caused in terms of employment, education, and social prospects. So let's look at how your postcode compares to the way in which we've constructed our current list of protected characteristics. So is it rooted in systemic disadvantage? Check. Regional underinvestment and policy neglect is a massive feature for the regions. Is it beyond an individual's control? Mostly yes, and particularly for children. Children can't up sticks and move somewhere else, and nor can most people. It's a really common fallacy. Why don't you just move? Well, social structures, family structures, connections to your local place. You shouldn't have to move in order to have a better life. We live in a country whereby we have the ability and the resources to provide for everyone. We choose not to. Does your postcode produce measurable and recurring inequalities? Yes. Health, education, social care, your employment prospects, all of these things are heavily determined by your postcode. Is it reinforced by state systems? Check. I can't remember how many we're on now. But yeah, absolutely. Policy choices that we make in terms of where to invest our public infrastructure, these affect people in areas where investment is absolutely scarce. If you talk to anybody who lives in a rural area or an area where there are very few transport connections, public infrastructure is letting these people down. Is it linked to stigma and bias? Yes. Increasingly, we use terms like the red wall or deprived areas. And when we look at things like benefit streets, kind of poverty porn that Channel 5 produces, these are all postcode and hyper-local issues because of a lack of public investment, because we're not distributing wealth in this country well enough. And if, like me, you have a regional accent, you know that you'll have faced discrimination. Sociolinguistics tell us that we think that certain regional accents make somebody untrustworthy over others. So what has this all got to do with council tax? Well, the amount of money that your council can raise depends on what we call its local tax base. So that's the residents who live within your borough, district or city, and they pay their local council for locally delivered services. The fact that they're not actually like local and the whole thing about that, but look at some other videos. Council tax draws circles or rings around us as communities and keeps our council tax within this boundary. Councils with a poorer tax base are able to raise less council tax than wealthier areas. That council tax is then spent on services like social care, education, environmental health, public health, the bins, potholes, all of that. Poorer areas that raise less are not able to deliver the same level of services as wealthier areas who raise more. Meanwhile, public infrastructure investment actually builds land wealth and gives wealthy people and the rich landowners, gives them even more capital in terms of the assets that they've got and the wealth and the land that sits underneath us because of things like council tax. Don't believe me? Go and check the video about Henry VIII. Yeah, seriously, Henry VIII. Should postcode be a protected characteristic? I'm not literally saying that it should, but I really want to have more of a discussion about regional and local inequalities. what it's doing for people in terms of their health, their wealth, and their happiness. It shouldn't be that somebody that lives in one particular area or one particular borough lives 10 years less than somebody who lives in a wealthier area because of the either declining or cumulative effects of the way in which we've developed our local taxation system. Public money and public infrastructure should be spent and distributed far more fairly than it does at the moment. And we should not be basing infrastructure and public investment decisions in order to make the wealthy land worth more and poorer land worth less, because that's essentially what we're doing. So it might not be a protected characteristic, but regional inequality is real. Council tax is the worst. It's got to go. We need better policy.